Now, this is Talking Points on CBS News Minnesota.
And joining us now is what I like to call the A-Team, Abu Amara, Democratic strategist, and Amy Koch, who is a Republican strategist, former Senate Majority Leader. All right, I'd like to start with you, Abu. Why is somebody running a serious campaign, a serious challenge to Representative Betty McCollum from the left, saying she's not progressive enough?
Well, in Democratic politics, we often have a joke that I'm not a member of an organized party, I'm a member of the Democratic Party. And that leads to some challenges from time to time, whether that be AOC in New York, how she came into prominence, was taking on an incumbent, or there are races all across the country. So I'm not looking too much into this. I think it's a kind of within the family conversation about policy and about how progressive maybe we should be as a party. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a Democratic seat, and I'm not concerned about the impact that it's going to have in November.
Does it undermine Democrats, though, to have this kind of a challenge to somebody who is very much entrenched and has won her last primary? 2 years ago, she won her primary by 78 points.
So I don't think it does, and here's why. You know, at a time when we have a statewide race and congressional headwinds, we've got multiple candidates talking to voters all across the 4th Congressional District. And if there wasn't a race, there would be less conversations happening. And so, you know, there's a silver lining here. Ultimately, I think the Congresswoman she's going to win the primary. She's going to get reelected. But I think it's good that we have a lot of Democrats talking to a lot of folks to turn out the vote in November.
All right, Amy Koch, what is your read on this? Because this is a serious challenge. This woman has raised a lot of money. She doesn't agree, she says, or she agrees with most of Betty McCollum's votes, but yet she's running against her. Does that undermine the Democrats?
No, well, so a couple things I'll agree with Abu on. I do think that obviously this is a Democrat seat, and the DFL will hold it in November. So that's not a concern. The other thing is, one thing I would say, I'm not saying it's a given that the Congresswoman will come through this one. And all I will say is that if you look back, I have been saying for years that the Democrat Party is about 2 cycles behind the Republican Party. And it was Tea Party in 2010, where there were just there was a lot of dissatisfaction with the party not listening. What membership felt was the Republican Party was not listening to them. And so you had a lot of challenges. Look at the former majority leader of Congress, Eric Cantor, was taken out, and everybody was just shocked. But that
yes.
happened all over. And I really do feel like the Democrats could be a couple cycles behind on that.
Well, but in other words, in the meantime, you've got Republicans on the right attacking so-called mainstream Republicans, if there are any mainstream Republicans left. That's a good question. Are there?
There's 16 primaries in the Minnesota Senate alone, I believe. 16 in the Minnesota state, Minnesota. So that's what I'm saying. It's like it starts as this, and it really can grow, and it has really grown. The Republicans, we have so many primaries, it's hard to keep track. Some more serious than others, but there are definitely primary challenges that could be taking out incumbent senators, and that won't even be a surprise anymore. So.
Abu, how about the party being fractioned off? Is that a problem, or is that just part of normal growth and normal issues, that you've got a progressive wing, that you've got that's ascendant, you've got sort of a mainstream wing? Is that just kind of the normal course of business?
Yeah, I think if you go back to 2016, right? Hillary Clinton ran, had challengers from her left. Joe Biden ran again, had challengers from his left. Tim Walz, when he ran in 2018, had a challenger from his left. This is not a new dynamic in the Democratic Party. And in fact, what I think it shows is that the Democratic Party ultimately chooses candidates who can win. They choose candidates who can win broad appeal.
So you think Betty McCollum's got this?
I think this is just another kind of thing we have to go through in the process. But at the end of the day, the strongest Democrat, I think, is going to get through and through that.
And you say that's Betty McCollum?
Oh, in this case, I think it's 100%. I will say this, though, that the demographics of that district are changing pretty significantly. That is not the 4th Congressional District of 2002 or the early 2000s when Congresswoman McCollum was initially elected. And so, although I think she does win this race, I do think as we move into the next couple of cycles, it may change who is a viable candidate in that district moving forward. But for now, I don't think there's any question she's going to be reelected.
And the demographics of that district are actually moving increasingly younger, which is an interesting and very important thing. Amy Koch, your thoughts overall about this particular primary? It sounds like you think that Amane Badhasso has a shot here.
Well, here's what I will say, what I know about incumbents, especially incumbents that are in safe districts that don't typically what happens is their campaign muscle atrophies. That's what happens when you run in a district every 2 years, and it's like Congresswoman McCollum has, where you don't actually have to really work at it. It's never a concern. You don't get serious contenders. You start to atrophy. That is just a fact. And that is when you start to see, and also, you have to mind the store. No matter who you are, no matter how safe your district, if your constituents feel that you are not in the district, that you're not paying attention, that you're not listening, that you're not available, that can have, it doesn't matter then what your politics are, then that can have them start thinking about, well, is this the person that's best serving me? It happens, and it could, that could be the case in the CD4. We'll see. I'm in CD4. I'll be voting for the Republican.
There you go.
I'm used to losing.
And
Spoiler,
folks, the reason we're not focusing on the Republican district is that this district is a plus 16 Democratic district, which means that there are 16 times more Democrats in this district than the average United States. So that's why we're focusing on it. Well, listen, Abu Amara, Amy Koch, thank you so much. Really appreciate your insights today. Talking Points will air Wednesdays and Thursdays at 6:30 and 9:30. Thank you so much for joining us. And please tune in next week when we'll take a look at the open seat that is the 1st Congressional District. Thank you so much for watching.